Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 811A, and today's date is November 6, 2015, and the title of this episode is U.S. Government Says We Are Close to a Full Recovery, Then Why Can't 94 Million People Find a Job? Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. The interview with James Wesley Rawls has been uploaded to the X22 Report Spotlight channel. If you're on YouTube, just type in X22 Report Spotlight. It will bring you right to the video. If you'd like to see it on the X22Report.com site, go right to the homepage, scroll down a little bit, you'll see it on the right-hand side. Or you can see the video on the new site, which is newssentinel.com. That's NEWZSENTINEL.com. You can see it on there. We are streaming 263 streams from news sites all around the world, which includes print and video, bringing it to one location. And this site is updated every single minute. Every time there's a news story that's out there, it is updated right on the site. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, it looks like those high-frequency traders, the plunge protection teams, they have been pushing this site up all day long. And it's strange that the market would be tumbling down when they got such great news that the unemployment rate has dropped to 5%, where October payroll soared by 271,000, smashing the consensus of about 184,000. And if we look at this, from everything, it seems that, we're in a recovery. Everything is fine. There is absolutely nothing to worry about whatsoever. I mean, this is the lowest unemployment rate since April of 2008. Wait a minute. We know what happened in October of 2008. The system fell apart and it collapsed. And right now, the government, the central bank, is continually manipulating all of these numbers. And they are going overboard now to prove that we are in a recovery. And when we look closely at these numbers, we have to see who is getting hired during this period. Well, education and health was about 57,000 jobs. Professional services, 54,000 jobs. Retail trade, 44,000 jobs. Leisure and hospitality, 41,000. Temp help, 25,000. Manufacturing, this is one of the biggest numbers we've seen, 0. No jobs for manufacturing whatsoever. Actually, manufacturing jobs are being lost. So what we are seeing are low-paying jobs, and there is no manufacturing at this point. And when we look at manufacturing compared to waiters and bartenders, and I have nothing against waiters or bartenders, everyone has their job. But what we're seeing as we continually lose manufacturing jobs, the part-time work is continually increasing. Waiters and bartenders, jobs have increased since 2007 by 1.5 million. Manufacturing job losses have decreased by 1.4 million. So it kind of shows you where all these people are going because they can't find the manufacturing jobs. And they're taking any type of part-time job just to make ends meet. Now, when we look at these job numbers, we say, okay, about 378,000, they're telling us, people were hired in these different positions. And when we look at it, we see that the gains are from workers age 55 and over. Well, 55 and over, most of these people, or a lot of them, are heading towards retirement, and some have already retired. And they're getting hired right now at these part-time, low-paid jobs because they know that they're going to be there. And they're not looking to get more money. They're just supplementing their retirement. And they know they're reliable. So what we're seeing right now is workers age 55 and older are taking up the jobs, all the part-time jobs, because they can't function with their retirement because of inflation on food and other things. And workers from ages 25 to 54 have declined by 35,000. And males in this age group, that number tumbled to 119,000. So So we're seeing a decline of 119,000 jobs of worker males from 25 to 54. This is going to be a problem, and we're seeing it right now. This economy cannot be sustained this way. We cannot have a society of part-time work. We cannot have people continually losing jobs and going from these full-time jobs to part-time jobs. It just won't work. We are seeing a complete collapse of the system. Now, workers age 55 and older have gained over 7.5 million jobs in the past 8 years. Workers age 55 and under have lost 4.6 million jobs over the last 8 years. I mean, think about what's going on here. This is a major, major problem. And what we're looking at is there are more and more people being thrown out of the labor force. The household survey reported that the civilian labor force rose by over about 300,000 in October. The number of people not in the labor force actually declined by 97,000 to 94.5 million. And we know there was 500,000 in September that were dropped out of the labor force. So the participation rate remained at 62.4%, same as the prior month, and at a level last seen in 1977. That is a lot of people not working. And if we are in a full recovery, why are close to 100 million people looking for work? And why do we have most of our jobs being brought to us by part-time jobs, not full-time jobs? Why is Challenger Gray and Christmas, a firm that tracks layoffs, reporting so far this year there's been 500,000 plus layoffs? If we go back to June 2014, we are approaching 1 million layoffs from good full-time jobs. And we can see it all over the economy. It's just getting worse and worse. But the government and the central bank is doing its best to convince us we're in a recovery. Now, a couple of reports back, I said we're going to be approaching 4.9%. I am not going to be that surprised if we hit 4.9% either by the end of this year or the beginning of 2016. Because we know 2016 is an election year, and they're going to bring that number way, way down. And the Fed is going to have a very tough time because we are getting to the point where we're better than a recovery. We're better than the good times. Unemployment is incredible. Why don't they raise the interest rates? And this is going to put a lot of pressure on them. And remember, if the Fed decides to increase the interest rates, this is when everyone should get worried. Because this is when they're ready to bring down the economy. We saw it back in 2008. This economy is the same as 2008 times 100 or times 1,000. And when we saw the interest rates rise back then, it completely collapsed. What do you think is going to happen right now? It's going to do the same thing, and they know it. This is why they're talking about NERP. This is why they're keeping it at 0%, because they're worried. Now, the Baltic Dry Index fell once again, and this is the raw material the factories use to produce goods. It fell to 631. Now, typically, this time of year, we see demand picking up because the holidays coming in. People are bringing in a lot more goods, stacking up their inventory, and the Baltic Dry Index rises from mid-summer through the holiday season. But it hasn't been doing that. It's been going the opposite way. And this should say, wait a minute, what is going on here? Something's wrong. And something is wrong. Basically, what we're seeing is the American people, the world population, there's so much unemployment. The people do not have discretionary funds, and they're not purchasing. They're not purchasing then the stores don't have to order. The stores don't have to order. The factories don't have to produce. The factories don't have to produce. They don't have to order the raw material. And this is what we are seeing right now. Even though the government of the United States is telling us the unemployment is at 5%, what's really happening right now is the complete opposite. And I've always said, whenever the government tries to tell us something, it is always the opposite of what they're telling us. So they're telling us unemployment is in full recovery at 5%. This unemployment number is close to 30, 35%. This is what we're really seeing. Now, if we look at freight carriers completely imploded. And it's on a downward trend. If we look at trucking, U.S. load to truck ratio, it is declining and falling apart because, again, there's nothing being shipped to stores. Yes, there's a little bit going on, but it's decreasing every single day. It's not getting better. And what we're seeing right now is a complete collapse of the entire system. Yes, the government has the ability to manipulate the statistical numbers, to manipulate the stock market, to manipulate precious metals, but it's very difficult to manipulate all the people on the sidelines who can't find work. You can see those people. You can feel those people. You can't hide that trucking is declining. Freight deliveries is declining. You can't hide the raw material shipment around the world. It's very difficult to do. And you can't hide store closures. It's very difficult to do. And this is what we are seeing right now. And yes, they can get rid of their department that tracks layoffs, which they did back in 2013, but there's other private firms, and they can't manipulate these type of firms. I mean, they can manipulate some of them, but there's a lot that they can't manipulate, and the information gets out there. And this is what we are seeing right now. We are seeing a complete breakdown. Now, China is pushing forward with their currency. Russia has become the fourth country to open its bond market to the Chinese yuan. So right now, we see China, we see London, we see South Korea. And this is starting to spread right now because China is looking to become a reserve currency. And they're pushing as hard as they can to have this completed. Now, I am not saying that Russia, China, they are the answer to this problem. What I'm saying is that this whole entire system is a fight between the private Western central bank system and the central banking system of China, Russia, and what they're setting up, which is the BRICS. And two of them are button heads. Now, a lot of people say that everything is moving from the west to the east, which, of course, central bankers will do this because they have no allegiance to a country. They have no allegiance to a people. And they don't care where they're located and who sets it up and who's the reserve currency. It's meaningless to them. But when we look at the United States, remember, the government is intertwined right now with the central banking system. And there's many different central banking systems, which is a hierarchy of the main central bank system, which is controlled by the Rothschilds. So we see right now that they don't really care. This system is dying. We know it's dying. And usually what central banks do to cover up this entire thing, because they can't restart it anywhere else, is they need some type of war. And this is what they're pushing right now. Now, Iran is looking to have and open up a secret passage to Asia for Russian crude. Russia is looking to expand its influence through oil trade. And a little reported deal this week may give us some insight in what they're trying to do here. Russia is close to negotiating a secret passage for its oil shipments. The move is coming through a deal with Iran, which the government says could open up the door for crude oil swaps between the two countries, facilitating exports of Russian oil out into Asia and beyond. And this is how it's going to work. Russia lacks the access to the ocean shipping routes beyond the Pacific and Arctic. Iran has better access through its ports on the Persian Gulf. But Russia does have ports on the Caspian Sea. Russia and Iran can exchange crude oil shipments along the Caspian Sea. The swap scheme would see Russian crude oil sent to Iran in exchange for equal shipments of Iranian crude flowing to Russia. That would give Russia unprecedented access to markets around the Indian Ocean, including go-to crude buyers in Asia, greatly changing the dynamics of oil markets in this part of the world. And most likely, they will not use the dollar for this whatsoever. Now, we understand Obamacare is completely falling apart. They're having a very rough time keeping this system afloat, and we're seeing a lot of exchanges fold, and another one is most likely on its way out. It's Rhode Island. They're limping along. They need a lot more funding to keep alive here, and we're going to have to watch that one very carefully because it looks like this is the next one that is going down. Now, the TPP, the full text of the Trans-Pacific Partnership was released, and we know why, because right now Obama's ready to sign. Congress is going to have to review it in the next 90 days, and as they open it up, it is not for the people whatsoever. Actually, it gets worse and worse as time goes on, and more you read, it is definitely a terrible, terrible thing. And one of the big things here is the TPP allows U.S. and foreign companies to hire foreign professionals and technicians to take skilled jobs in the United States. So what they're saying is they're going to bring in the workers from countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, and others. They will bring them here to the United States, and they will only have to pay them what they get paid in their countries. Think about this for a second. What does that do to an American who's competing for the same job? It's either you lower your hourly wage to whatever they're getting paid in their country, or you just don't have a job. And this is going to be a major, major problem. I mean, this TPP contract that Obama's all ready to sign is going to open our entire service industry to companies and their employees from all of these partner countries. Now, when we look at this, this tells me there's a reason why they're doing this. And it's the same reason they're bringing in the illegal immigrants, is because they think this will help keep the system going. Second of all, they know the economy's dying, and they know eventually the U.S. will not be the reserve currency. And they will fight to keep it, but eventually this will be a third world country. And I believe Bill Holter did mention this in our interview on the X22 Report Spotlight. And as a third world country, they need to bring the wages down to that level. And it seems like with this is what they're going to be doing. And this is going to be a complete disaster for many of the people here in the, probably all the people here in the United States, because our way of life is coming to an end. Now, another part of the TPP is saying that they're looking to change the immigration laws. And, of course, Obama is saying, no, the TPP is not going to change immigration laws whatsoever. Nothing is going to happen there. But the TPP's forced rewrite of the nation's immigration laws comes at the back end of the TPP process, not the front end. The TPP's opening up of the U.S. service sector is critical. It means companies will have an incentive to maximize their use of existing rules that allow them to bring in an unlimited number of foreign workers, dubbed guest workers, into the United States. For example, if GE can make the argument that a particular foreign mechanic serving a particular kind of machine has specialized knowledge, then that person can be brought over from Malaysia and paid the wages that he was being paid or she was being paid in that country. Even if the migrant foreign workers are paid American wage levels, the huge influx of foreign workers will flood the U.S. market and drive down wages paid to American technicians and professionals. And it will allow more and more of these people into the country. So you can see their plan right now. Their plan is to bring us to a third world country. This is what's happening right now. The Electronic Frontier Foundation concluded on its website that the TPP upholds corporate rights and interests at the direct expense of all of our digital rights. Advocates for privacy and internet freedom took issue with provisions in the argument that require real names and addresses associated with internet domains such as .us, .ca, or .au to be registered with home government. Now, this is kind of dangerous because opposition groups, those who are protesting, will have to give their names, and the government will know exactly where to find them. And this is kind of scary because they want to know who these people are. Additionally, the agreement requires internet service providers to help take down websites that are violating copyright laws, but does not allow the websites to dispute copyright accusations. This potentially opens the door to service providers taking down websites in one country over copyright accusations from a company based in another nation. So far, everything benefits the corporations. Do you see anything benefiting the people? I do not. And there are things that have to do with pharmaceutical drugs, where they get to keep their patent for a much longer time, and all the other countries have to come in line with this. And this makes it very difficult for generic drugs to be created so the drug prices can come down. So again, for the corporations, for profits, not for the people. And Obama is saying he's ready to sign. And the way it works is that Congress right now is going to have a 90-day congressional review of this TPP. And they're going to review it, and we're going to have to see if they pass it or not. Right now, they're saying they don't have enough votes to pass this, and I'm hoping that this does not pass. But the way our government works today, the way they're paid off, I would not be surprised if this was completely passed. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.